Okay, what we will expect in this podcast is about how our values and our principles guide us to be who we are. Okay, I have been interviewing quite a few very successful Filipinos here in the Philippines, including Dr. Cynthia. So I was very happy to have her on my very first podcast because what she did is she laid the groundwork as to what it takes to be successful in not only in your work but also in your life and in relationships.
Okay, so thank you for that little message, sir. So extending what our audience will expect is that, like in our opening remarks, Ms. Jeline told us about a background on personality and values. So today we'll be having, we can say, a friendly debate or even just what do you call this? A return of information, brainstorming, and like
A conversation.
yeah, in short, conversation. So, shall we begin, everyone? Are you all ready?
Yes!
Right. So, beginning this podcast, we will have questions, Sir Raymond. So, first of all, the Grace Corporation's top priority is to develop leaders and investing in people who will shape the Philippines of tomorrow. How will you achieve that goal?
Well, in November 2020, just last year, I had my very first college seminar here at the Bicol University. So first of all, I want to say that I am so extremely grateful and honored to be addressing more of its fellow students because you students are amazing. You really are. You're like a sponge for new information. You all know what you want to achieve in life, or at least you know you want to achieve in life, and it's just a question of who do you need and who do you need to hear from and what do you need to hear that will further inspire you to grow into becoming the people you are supposed to be. I have no doubt that in this room there are going to be titans of industry, maybe even future business owners, or maybe even a president of the Philippines in the far future, right? But someone here is, if not all of you. And what determines whether or not you're going to succeed in life is whether or not how are you going to not only absorb the information that is given to you, but most importantly, how you implement it. Because knowledge is great. It really is. But what's more powerful than knowledge is action. Because if you do not act on the knowledge that you are given, it doesn't matter what you know. I know so many people out there who have vast intellect and intelligence, but because they fail to act, they're making minimum wage. So our goal is for you to understand that not only do you have to listen to your mentors, and I am just only one. All right, Cynthia is one. Your teachers are one. But you have to have many mentors and teachers in your life. But honestly, I have 100. And I've counted all their names. I have over 100 mentors. And these are authors, these are speakers, these are inspirational, motivational people that I haven't met, but I have read their biographies, I know about them, I have read their books, right? And that's why I consider them mentors. If you think your knowledge and your education stops the moment you get a piece of paper called a diploma, then you're vastly wrong. You're undereducated, right? You're undereducated if you stop your education right after you get your diploma. You have to keep searching for more answers.
Okay, so moving on from the next question. From all the challenges in your life that you encountered, what's your motivation and purpose to continue life? How did you push yourself to go out with your comfort zone? And what are the changes that have happened in your life after? Ooh.
I have encountered a lot of challenges in my life. In fact, what they say is that what is your greatest teacher is often your biggest failures. And I've had a lot of challenges. Ever since from the time I graduated, was in high school and in college where I was depressed and I was even contemplating suicide, to the time when I had businesses that I have opened and closed, to relationships that I had, that I loved and broken up, and to all the many challenges. And what I would take from all of that is one thing. It's belief that everything that I have encountered in life is meant to make me grow. I could tell you now that whatever difficulty you have or you will have in the future, in many ways I have already gone through it. And I think that is the one thing that's going to really make me understand the difficulties and the plights of others. It's because I have walked into their shoes. So in this last segment of my life, my goal is to be able to teach as many people as I can, so that they could also understand that their failures is not the end of their lives. It's actually many times it's the beginning. Because for every door that closes, a new door will open.
Okay, so a follow-up question to that. So do you believe that experience is a man's greatest lesson in life?
I think experiences are everything. Because one of the things that's going to make you who you are, or who you will be, is your experience. If a friend goes up to you and in the future and they talk to you about the failure in their marriage, if you have not failed in your marriage, there's no way you could really help them in their healing.
Yes.
If you have a friend who comes up to you and talk to you about how they failed in their business, there's no way you could consult them because there's no understanding of that particular knowledge.
Certainly.
You see, wisdom is more important than knowledge. All right? That's one of the things you have to understand. Because you can know so much, but it is how you have taken that knowledge and converted it into who you are is what's going to be important. So every failure is not the end of the road. It's actually the beginning of it.
Okay. So another follow-up question. Do you believe that the complacency of one's capacity of knowledge makes someone foolish?
The capacity of knowledge, meaning the more knowledgeable they are, the more foolish they become?
In a sense that when someone becomes complacent of what they only know and refuse to believe in what others' perspective, does that mean he is foolish, or he's just pushing what he believes and making a change for it?
I don't like to label anybody, and I surely don't want to label someone foolish. I just want to be able to say that if they are complacent in what it is that they know, then what they're doing is they're actually closing the full knowledge and the full knowledge of that particular subject. Okay, because there's so much to learn. So someone who says they know everything about relationships or how to have a relationship, but they've only been in one relationship, doesn't necessarily mean they know fully everything. Right? So are they foolish? No. I just believe that they have to learn more because there's so much more to know.
Thank you so much for answering my question, sir. So next question would be, so last year, you remember that we conducted a seminar, you as our speaker. So it was entitled, What Are You Doing With Your Life? And the 5 P's of Personal Power. You focus on personal development, in which is related to our lesson in our subject, Human Behavior in Organization. Why is personal development important?
Why is personal development important? You know what they say about a tree, right? A tree that is stopped growing, it's a tree that is dying. Every living thing that you see out there is still growing. right? Because the moment they stop, they start to die. And that's the same thing with each and every one of us. We all have to continue to learn. We all got to continue to grow. That's why self-development is probably the most number one tool that you'll have to partake in the moment you graduate school. In fact, you could start your self-development now. I was talking with Jug earlier, and I said, maybe you should start learning how to do some videography if you want to travel around the Philippines with me, interviewing and podcasting very interesting people around the Philippines. And he said, yeah.
Yes, I did.
Even though he doesn't know videography now, there's nothing wrong with knowing a new skill, right? So everything about in life is skill. I remember when I was growing up, how many here are familiar with the Boy Scouts and the Girl Scouts? Right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think everybody is. And one of the things that always impressed me with the Boy Scouts and Girl Scouts is they have what's called badges, right? And the more badges you have, the more skilled you are. And even though I was not a Boy Scout, my dad didn't enroll me in the Boy Scouts, I've always thought that if I was in a Boy Scouts, my sash would be filled with badges, right? Because that is about life. The more you know and the more you implement, the more knowledgeable and wise you become. So I don't want you to search to become the most intelligent. I want you to search out to become the most wise. And to be wise, you have to experience wisdom. To experience wisdom, you have to go out there and you have to try. And you have to try and you have to fail. And you fail, you try again. You fail, you try again. I want you to travel to different shores, travel around the world, meet interesting people, learn new cultures, learn about yourself. That's what personal development is. All right, so the challenge for you today is what are you going to do to be able to expand your skill set and fill your sash with as many medals as you can. All right, just one last. It's like, do you know what makes a general in the United States, in the Army, become a general? By the number of pins he has on his jacket, right? Have you ever seen that? You've seen some of those, right? Yeah. The more pins you have, the more experienced you are, right? And the more experienced you are, the more you become promoted to become a general, and up and on, right? So that's what I want you guys to be able to look at, is how could you become a general in your life?
Okay, so I wanted to ask how do you define personality and how you differentiate it with values? And do you think they influence each other?
Oh, absolutely. Our young lady who was our MC, you want to raise her hand? I gotta tell you, how many here thinks she has a bubbly personality? Yeah, right? She has an outstanding personality. I mean, she made me laugh. She made me smile, right? And she really set the tone for today's event, don't you think?
Yes.
Right? Now, if she came up there and she had a very quiet personality, right? A very shy personality, would that have impacted how you feel about today's event? Quite possibly, right? Because maybe you're thinking, oh, it's going to be a low energy, right? So that's part of her personality. So I want you to think to yourself, what kind of an impact do you want to leave on others? Do you want to have a bubbly personality, which they inspire you, like Cynthia Mendoza? Dr. Cynthia, when she comes up on the stage, does she inspire you all? Yeah. How many here says yes? Yes, because that is her personality. You see, her personality lays down the groundwork as how she is going to operate in front of you. Okay? If her personality is one of low energy, guess what? The interaction between you and that person will also be low energy. But if you want to bring out the best in others, right, your personality has to match that desire. right? So yeah, personality is very important in order for you to develop yourself, and also most importantly in how you want to impact others.
Okay, thank you so much, sir. So next question would be, how do you improve one's personality and their values? Let's say, for example, you have a very strong personality, correct? How did you evolve that from, let's say, were you not that confident before, or have you ever had that in you? Because I can see you have Riz. Oh yeah, it's a Gen Z term for charisma.
Well, I gotta tell you, here's the story. When I was growing up, all right, first of all, if you all look around the room, what is the dominant hair color? Black. What is the dominant skin color?
Brown.
Tan.
Oh yeah, tan.
Right? I'll call it tan, don't say brown. Tan. Beautiful tan skin color. Now, when I was growing up, I grew up in I grew up in the United States, right? And I grew up in a predominantly Polish neighborhood. Polish people are blonde hair, very pathetic, right?
Yeah.
And I was made fun of. I was picked on. I was bullied because I was the only Asian or minority in the entire school. Here, you're lucky. You don't know what bullying based on your skin color would feel like. But I was bullied almost every year when I was in school. I would have friends who I thought were friends that would threaten to beat me up after school because they want to become popular. Right? I had kids, my fellow classmates would pick fun of me, even taunt me all the time. And so back then, I was a very quiet person. I was very shy. Even though deep down inside, I knew I was a person who wanted to be able to express myself. So how I was able to express myself is, instead of me being involved in large school projects, right, I got myself involved in, let's say, the talent show. Right, so instead of me being in sports, because I was not accepted in sports, so whenever we have a school program, and they pick captains, and the captains have to pick individuals, I was always the last one to get picked. Nobody wanted to pick me, right? So what did I do? I became involved in, I was a class student, I did, not a class student, I mean a class artist. I was an altar boy. I was a crossing guard. I did a milk run. I did activities in which I didn't rely on anybody but myself, right? Because I knew I wasn't loved and appreciated, because I was so different. So my personality back then was all about self-independence. It's how to become self-sufficient. To become a person who is capable of being able to address and to be sociable took time. I had to learn that, because I knew that in my life I had to develop myself and my personality, because this is what I want to do. This is, I believe, something that I believe God has inspired me or wanted me to do. And in order for me to do that, I cannot be shy. So I had to develop my own personality. I had to get out of my own shell. I had to be confident in myself and my abilities, and that took time. And I think one of the biggest teachers is experience, right?
So I have a follow-up question, sir. Are you aware of the Enneagram? It is a sort of defining someone's personality based on how they grew up as a child. They have core values and core fears, and they are divided into 9 types. We have the type 1, type 2, type 3, type 4, type 5, type 6, 7, type 8, type 9. So they are, and those 9 types are divided into 3. We have the gut triad, the head triad, and the heart triad. I believe in your personality development, personal development subject, you were taught about yeah, that Enneagram is a factor in which a child from their childhood, I mean, a person from their childhood influenced them as who they are right now in the present. So I will have to briefly explain from 1 to 9. So the first type is type 1, which is the perfectionist, or should I say the reformer. The type 1 Enneagram is they focus more on construct and system, and they want organization in a cluster of people, in a crowd. They want everyone to be aligned in their belief, in which from the word itself, the reformer, they want proper alignment with everyone. They want an order and a system that would prevent society from crumbling. So an example of a type 1, I may say, a famous person who is a type 1, oh wait, a president from the United States. I think George Bush, I believe, was a reformer, and he did what he could in the States. And correct me if I'm wrong, because I'm not that into the history of the United States. But can you give me what you know about George Bush?
Well, George Bush as a man now is, I believe, is a man of integrity.
Yes.
Okay, and he's a uniter. Back when he was president of the United States, he was often seen as a divider. There was a lot of people who didn't like George Bush. And a lot of it is based on politics. But if it's as a reformer, I'm not so sure about if I would classify George Bush as a reformer. But has he been a man who has changed in the last few years? I would say he has. You know, whereas before he was a diehard Republican, now he's also been seen shaking hands with Obama and even the Clintons. You know, so did he reform himself that way? I do believe so.
All right. So let's proceed with the type 2. Oh wait, before I proceed to type 2, the core values of a type 1 is that they have integrity, they love being there for others in a way that they help them improve themselves. But the core fear of a type 1 is being evil and being a dictator, as per se. So let's proceed with type 2, the giver. So the word it says, the giver, the core values of a giver is that they want to help everyone around them. In contrast with the type 1, they help because it is the intention of their heart to help other people, because they believe that helping is it's a nature of a human being to be kind. So a core fear of a type 2 is to be manipulative, and well, let's say an unhealthy type 2 can be classified as manipulative, but their core fear is to be not being needed when someone, or they being invalidated when they help someone, they ask someone for if they want help and they refuse, then that is a core fear for them. They feel like no one wants them, then it would cause them to self-destruct, and which will lead to trauma in believing that they make things complicated by doing everything for someone. So okay, let's move on so we can. Okay, so the type 3, the achiever. So an achiever, their core values is to be like the name it suggests, achiever. They want to achieve anything they want as long as they are capable of it. Their core fear is that they are unable to do things on their own and they fail at things that they love. So skipping that again, type 4, the individualists. They are the people who believe in their own image, that their feelings are important and that their identity is what is important to them. So their core values is that they want to be true to themselves and they want everyone to see that this is them. They want transparency in themselves. But what their core value, their core fear is that to be someone that they didn't think they could become. In short, they do not want to be seen as evil or seen that isn't them. They don't want to be misunderstood. So that is what they fear the most. So moving on to the type 5, the thinker. their core values would be scrutinizing a problem and giving solution to every problem that they encounter. Their core fear is that they are unable to help in ways that would be logical. They do not want their logic to be invalidated because they believe that their logic and their rationality is superior with others. Well, that's an unhealthy type 5. So the type 6 would be the loyalist. A type 6 core value is that they want security. They want everything in them that favors them, that would not cause them harm or harm to others. But their core fear would be being in danger. So a value, every value of the Enneagram is the opposite of what they fear. So the core, what they call this, the core fear of a type 6 is fear itself. So yeah, let's move on type 7, which is the enthusiast. Okay, we have 2 more and I'll proceed with the next question. So the enthusiast is someone who, let's say Miss Ram over there, she is an enthusiast and she is a type 7 as I observed. Her core values is to enjoy life as it is and do not worry because everything, we do not think of things as a problem, but rather something that comes to our life as an experience, and experience is, like you said, is the best lesson in our life. So their core fear is that they are being contained in a box. They do not like being imprisoned in a place, or they do not want stagnancy. They want change in every aspect in their life. So the type 8, okay, we're close. So the type 8 is the challenger. So the challenger for me is the most interesting Enneagram type. It is the rarest Enneagram type because a challenger is not only, they are very dedicated in what they do. It is, I think, a combination of the type 1 and the type 3, the achiever and the reformer. The type 8, I may say, they love, as like the type 7, they love experiencing what is in the present. They also love protecting their loved ones. They do not back down to any challenge that is given to them. And you may call that stupid, but I call that brave. But the other way around, you can call it brave and stupid at the same time. But for them, it is called a challenge. That's why they are called the challenger. Their core values is experience life also like how the type 7 wants to perceive life. Their core values is also to protect what they love, but their core fear is that they are also entrapped in a box, that they are limited, their freedom is restricted. They do not want that. So lastly, the type 9, the peacemaker. So a peacemaker value is that they want everything to be in line with what they believe. They may be like the type 4, the individualist, but in the type 9, they want to strive a common ground for everyone. They want peace, like the name suggests. It just suggests everything. The name is self-explanatory. But what they fear the most is that they're unable to bring what could be brought for everyone. They fear that they may cause chaos, or they may fear everything that would go crumbling down because of them. Well, an unhealthy type 9 is identified as being lazy. So if you are, oh yeah, so in the conclusion, I just stated all this Enneagram for everyone to be aware that their childhood has an impact to their life as they are right now. But every personality test does not define who you are. You do not claim something from the internet, or you do not claim science to tell you what you are, because personality as a general concept is flexible. Science is objective and personality is subjective. You do not define yourself in scientific means. You define yourself as what you want to express yourself. So that is all. So next, do you have any question about that, sir, or any remarks?
No, I have to say, first of all, I'm very impressed with them. Let's all give him a hand of applause. First of all, he did such an amazing job describing the 9 levels of the Enneagram.
Yeah.
And being even able to memorize it all right? If I was his teacher, I'd give him an A on that. But from my experience is that everybody has each one of those traits inside them. Okay, so we're all either a challenger or
Anything of the nine.
yeah, any of the nine, we all have that specific. Now, there is only though, of course, there's going to be some of us that is going to portray some of the more higher traits, but in most general, we all have that particular trait. We all have each one of the 9 traits. Some of us are going to be higher than others, so I would consider myself more of a challenger, all right, but I also have all of the other traits that he has said. So part of it is for you to understand who you are going to be and how you're going to be in life, is to be able to study for yourself which personality type are you, okay? Because your degree in life, where you're going to be in the next 5, 10, 20, or 30 years, is all going to be dependent on your personality. Okay, so if you're much more of a bubblier personality, you'll probably be better in sales. But if you're someone who's more withdrawn and into themselves, maybe you'll become maybe an attorney or maybe work as in a factory. So
Another technical difficulty every time.
technical difficulties.
So we'll proceed to our next question. So our podcast theme is an open mirror to know personality and values. We relate it to a mirror simply because there is a deep meaning to it, a self-reflection. So why is it important to examine ourselves and must have self-awareness? Why do you think it is important to have self-awareness?
I think self-awareness is the #1 thing you all have to learn. Most meaningful, what I'm trying to say is that you need to know yourself, okay? Because who you are is directly attributed to who you will become. How many here wants to have a lot of money when they grow up? How many here wants to be rich? Right? Okay, we got 1, 2, 3, 4, maybe about 5 people. Okay, and there's nothing wrong with that, because being rich is not it's not the biggest core value being to having a happy life. I know a lot of happy people, and they're all very poor. They're fishermen, but they love what they do. They have a beautiful family. They have a small, simple house, but that's all they want to be. So you have to understand for yourself what kind of a person you are and who you want to be, and you have to be okay with that. All right? Because not everybody is going to make $1 million pesos a year. The most important here is how are you going to be happy with what you have? Okay.
Yeah, I like that answer, sir. So, another thing. So, how did your self-awareness and your reflection help you to become who you are right now? You mentioned a while ago that there had been difficulties in your life, especially in your childhood. And I assume that you had a lot of self-reflection and you have identified what you had lacked in your life back then. So you tried to make it up right now, and even before that, you made it up so you can become right now. So what can you say about that to everyone?
When I was growing up, one of the most important things it taught me was the power of personal independence and self-sufficiency. And I learned that because growing up in in grammar school, I felt nobody really liked me, right? So I had to learn how to become personally happy with myself. And there was a lot of challenges with that. And it was because of that is who made me what I am today. Someone who's independent and self-sufficient, and somebody who's going to work to do his best in order to achieve what he needs to achieve in life, because I don't really feel that people are going to be able to help me, right? So what I do right now is I do search for partners. I do search for assistance. I do search for collaboration, because part of me desires it. I want to be around the people. I want to be able to help people achieve what they want to achieve in life. So everything that I experienced in life growing up that created my personality also created why I am standing, or actually in this regard, sitting in front of all of you, right? Is because I want to be able to teach as many people as much as I can to learn what it is that I have learned in life through all my challenges.
Thank you, sir. So then, for our audience right now, given that we are public administrators, correct? Yes. Okay, so a question for sir that I hope everyone would listen, because all the participants here with us today, like I said, are public administration students. So the future public servants and leaders, as we say. What advice can you give, and why is personal development important in developing competent leaders?
All right. You're all in public administration, correct? So that means when you graduate, and if you decide to keep in public administration, what's going to happen is that one day, one or maybe many of you will become leaders in your barangay, maybe leaders in your community, leaders in the LGU, right? Maybe one of you will be a mayor of the city, right? Maybe one of you will become kagawi, a consultant, someone who works for the benefit of their community or their city, right? And personal development is key for you to become a higher leader. Everybody I have spoken to who are leaders in their fields have become leaders because they did not stop learning. They did not stop self-developing, all right? So not too recently, just a couple weekends ago, actually, and even Dr. Cynthia was with me, is that I interviewed Colonel Catan, who happens to be one of the top police officers in all of Albay. And what he told me was that he did not stop his education as soon as he graduated college. In fact, he went on to getting 2 master's degrees, right? And because he got 2 master's degrees is what had helped propel him to who he is, you know, the head of the, almost like the head of the police force of all of Albay, okay? Actually, of all of Region 5. That's a pretty high achievement, don't you think? But in order for him to have done that, he did it because he did not stop learning. In fact, he told me that one of his biggest dreams is to become an attorney, right? Even to get that law degree, it's going to take him at least about 2 to 4 years to get. But the only reason why he's thinking about that is because one day he's thinking about running for governor, right? Or maybe a higher office. So self-education starts off with self-awareness, which leads to self-development. You cannot stop developing yourself, because the moment you stop developing yourself is the moment you stop growing. So the biggest advice I could give for all of you is that start reading self-development books, right? One of the things that I've learned was how to speed read, right? I learned how to play the guitar, the piano. I learned how to fix a car engine, right? How to build a boat, how to build a house, how to tile the floor, and so on. There's so many things that I have learned in life, and the only reason is because I never stop learning. The more you know, the more powerful you become, all right? And people know that. So don't stop learning. When you graduate, go out there and pick up new courses, right? Go to TESTA and enroll in new programs and learn something new. Read every day. Do you know that the biggest leaders in the world, the most successful people, they never stop learning. They're always reading. Readers are leaders. Leaders are readers. So always, never, ever, ever stop reading.
Okay, thank you, sir. So a random off-topic question. So we believe that personality is it's what defines us, right? So what about identity? Can we say that we can have an identity if society had not existed, or that we had our own, or what we are right now isn't what we are supposed to be as a group of people? So then, is society the main factor of one's identity?
Well, how many here people think they are public personality? Raise your hands. All right? Raise your hands. Who's here feel that they have a very outspoken, bubbly personality? All right, maybe 1, 2, 3, 4, okay, 5, okay. How many people here think they have a shy personality? Okay, even much more. I don't think you have a shy personality. All right. How many here people are satisfied with their personality? You're satisfied with who you are and your personality? Okay, great. Did you consider yourself shy or bubbly? Bubbly. Okay, you're happy. Okay, how many here feel that they are satisfied with the current personality? Or just only one? All right. If I were to ask any of you why you are not, and I want you to just think for yourself right now and answer this question, why aren't you happy with who you are? Just think about that. And chances are it's because you want more. You want more out of life, correct? How are you going to get more out of life? Let me tell you, I was a very shy person. Okay? And now I am not as shy. And I am happy with my life. So all I could say is that you could also change your life. If you don't like what your life is, you could change it. Because if there's one power that you all have, and I want you to believe it, truly believe it, you have one superpower. Okay? It's not X-ray vision, it's not flight, it's not supersonic speed, it's not super strength, you're not an Avenger or Superman or Wonder Woman. But you have one power. You know what that power is? It's called choice. You have the power of choice. You have the power to be anybody you want based on the choices that you make in life. Okay? So the first thing I want you to think of is who you want to become in the future. What kind of a personality do you want to have in the future? You want a personality that is fearless and able to conquer anything and anybody? Or do you want a future in which you're stuck at home after work watching Netflix? What kind of life do you want? And I'll tell you this, any choice that you make is absolutely fine. But this is for those who want more out of life. Because whatever you want out of life, you could achieve. I've always wanted to do this. This was my dream. My dream was to be able to address the youth and the disenfranchised of people and those who are searching to change their life and to be able to change, to be able to say something that could be able to change just even a little the direction of where they're headed. All right? And I chose this life, even after how many times I have failed. No matter how many times I have lost people and places I have lived and traveled, it all led me to this. So I want you to think for yourself, what is it that you want out of your life? And then have the belief and the courage to choose well.
Thank you, sir. So let's have an interaction with our audience. So, Miss Ram, you mentioned that you didn't want to change. I mean, you didn't want, how do you say this? You are satisfied of who you are and your personality. Why is that? Can you briefly explain it to us? Give her a round of applause, everyone.
As a person who doesn't really want to think of negative things, because it is a much greater thought if I kept on thinking about good things. In the sense that when you think of bad things that will happen, even though you start thinking it from your mind pa lang, it will not change anything in a good place. So if you start thinking good and doing good, then as they have mentioned earlier, that when you have the knowledge, you have the experience, you are supposed to do it in action. Because having your ideas in mind only will not make anything happen good in your life. So as for me, there are times na I think of bad things, but I do not let it stop myself. So I cried. Actually, last night I really had a bad time recently about my life, and then I just wipe my tears out, let my life stood out, and go with the life that I know I wanted. I don't want to be in that situation. I keep on thinking bad things and nothing's changing. So I think it's.
You are really brave for doing such a thing, and your choices will definitely lead you somewhere that you deserve. So, thank you, Ms. Ram. So, sir, I have another question. Have you ever contemplated, if ever, you didn't do what you did before? Do you think you would be here speaking with me? Or do you think you are who you are today? If you decided to choose another path for your life?
Well, first of all, after the seminar I did back in November, you approached me.
Yes.
Right. And one of the things that he said is that, sir, I would like you to mentor me. Right? And he was one out of the 80 people, 80 students who were at that event. And I was very impressed with them. Right? In fact, I was looking forward to one day meeting up with him again and, taking him up on that challenge of being able to mentor him. So 2 weeks ago or so, I get an email, right, from a student saying that they want to invite me to a podcast. And I read over the notes, and I said, okay, yeah, this is something I could talk about. But I didn't really look at who the person was. Okay, I just accepted it because I believed in the information. Just a few days ago, all right, I finally clicked to see who it was who sent me the text, all right, that message, and it was him. All right, there is a power in manifestation. You have to believe that. It's all about manifestation. And as what she has said earlier, is that she manifests her life, right? She makes her choice. And she boldly goes on and tackles her challenges. And everything that we're going to get in life is going to be on how boldly we accept any challenge that it goes in front of us. Because let me tell you, life is going to do everything it can to knock you down. All right? I'll tell you that now. Because the hardest lessons you're going to learn is not here in school. This is easy. This is cakewalk, right? It isn't until you walk out of the doors of school is where you're really going to be introduced to the hardest lessons of your life. This is easy, right? Because when you walk out of these school doors in another year and a half, you're going to be, you're going to be faced with work. You're going to be faced with relationships. You're going to be faced with personal issues and family issues and other issues that is going to challenge you to become bigger than who you are. And I tell you, it is really, really painful. Because if you fail out there, boy, you're going to crash hard. If you fail a class here or if you fail an exam here, is it the end of the world? No. Okay? If you fail a relationship out there and you get a divorce, is that painful? Very painful. If you go out there and you fail at your job and you get fired, is that going to be painful? It's going to be very painful. But what's the most important thing that you're going to learn from all of those experiences is that your life never stops. You got to constantly keep making better choices, and the only way you're going to make better choices is through more experience. Okay? So don't fear. It's okay. Your personality here will dictate the kind of life that you'll have in the future. And if you don't like how your life in the future is going to look, you could change your personality. You can. You could go from someone, I know people who were very bubbly when they were at school and now they're very withdrawn and quiet. I know people who were very withdrawn and quiet when they were at school and now they are the most outstanding people I have ever met. All right?
Thank you so much, sir. I am flabbergasted in a good way, but I don't have any synonymous words for flabbergasted in a good way, so I use that word.
Oh, that's a big word.
Yeah, I'm so sorry, sir. But I am surprised and that you recognized me after all those months. Oh, it was just 2 months actually since the seminar, and I'm just flattered. So thank you so much. So we'll end the questions, podcast questions here, and unfortunately I do have a lot of more questions, but we'll proceed with our fast talk. So then, here goes nothing. I mean, here goes everything. Okay, we'll have a timer for this one. 1 minute for the fast talk. Oh, we have a timer over there.
Yes.
All right, so now let's not look. Okay, here goes everything. Career of passion and why?
Passion. And the reason why is because I know people who have a lot of passion, a huge career, but they're not passionate in it. So what happened to their career? It has never really taken off. All right? If you have one choice between a career and passion, always choose a passion.
Change your comfort zone.
Definitely. Your comfort zone is going to define you. But the more you expand your comfort zone, the bigger you're going to be. In order for me to get out of my quiet zone and to become who I am, and wish I could address a lot of people, I had to step out of my comfort zone.
Okay, sir, let's just answer this one without explaining now. Okay, power or empower?
Power.
Intelligence or sense of humor?
Sense of humor.
Opportunity or fulfillment?
Fulfillment.
Leadership or management?
Leadership.
Frank, bluntness or good manners?
Good manners.
Okay. Travel or business?
Travel.
Athletic or artistic?
Artistic.
Favorite place in the Philippines?
Oh, right here in Bicol. In front of all of you.
Favorite Filipino food?
Oh, adobo. No, I'm sorry, caldereta.
Caldereta. Favorite motivational speaker?
Les Brown.
What makes you excited?
Oh, talking to people like you.
Describe yourself in 3 words.
Describe myself as,
Describe yourself in 3 words.
oh, big thinker.
Oh, 2 more words.
I'm a big thinker.
That's all, okay. What is the nicest thing someone said about you?
I love you.
Personal development or moral values?
Personal development.
If you could be a fictional film or literary character, who would you be and why?
I think I want to be the old man at the sea. And the reason being is because regardless of the difficulties he's facing in life, he still pushes on.
Okay. So what is your favorite quotes in life?
Never stop believing in yourself.
Okay, last in the fast talk. Woman that you think has a great personality and why?
Who do I think has a great personality?
A woman who has a great personality.
Who do I think has a great personality and why? I could name quite a few people. But I think one person who has a great personality is Dr. Cynthia. She has a great personality, don't you think? And let me tell you why. Because on November, when I was in front for many hours, I think for the last 6 hours in front of about 80 of your fellow students, you know, I had students there just looking at me, right? Some of them smiling, some of them laughing. But it wasn't until Dr. Cynthia came up into the class and went to the front where everybody erupted in applause and cheer. So what does that tell you? That tells you that she is a woman that everybody is inspired by, right?
Yeah.
Am I can say that? Sure. Of course. That's why it's an easy question for me to answer, right? So if she could do that to 80 kids, I mean, could you imagine what she could do to an entire room of hundreds of people? Right? To her whole community here in Bicol? Exactly. So personality is very important. You want to achieve life, you got to look at yourself in the mirror and say, are you happy with who you are? Look in your mirror today. Go home, all right? And look at yourself and say, who am I? Am I happy? Am I content with who I am right now? And could I be more? Because if you choose that you want to be more, then you got to go out there and self-develop yourself. If you want to be a speaker, go out there and take speaking classes. If you want to be a writer, take writing classes. If you want to be a good photographer or someone in personal development, do whatever you can to learn the necessary skills that you need to achieve in your life.
Thank you so much, sir, for that fast talk. And may I bow this one? And before we conclude this podcast we had, I am very grateful for your presence here, sir. It is very, yes, I cannot explain the feeling, but I'm just grateful that you chose to be with us today. And somehow next time or another podcast that would relate to this, or any podcast that would be in your expertise, we would ask you to come join us yet again to be our speaker, or even our jury, or anything that would relate to this. Thank you so much, sir. And before we end the podcast, I would like to promote and let people know about Let's Graze person. I'm so sorry, sir. I'm mental blank right now. So, can you do the promotion?
Well, I just want to say is that one of my biggest dreams out there is to be able to talk to as many leaders as I can here in the Philippines. Right? And I've started off with some local heroes, starting with like Dr. Mendoza, right, to talk about her life. And pretty soon I'm going to go to regional heroes, national, and even national and international heroes, culminating and speaking with Lenny Robredo. But I'm going to be talking to a lot of people out there, a lot of people that you all know, love, and respect. And I'm very excited to be able to have them on my podcast coming up. And I even told Jug that during his summer break, he wants to travel with me in my camper van and we interview some of these top people in the world in Philippines. Yeah, he's more than welcome to do that. It'll be fun. Right? So I want you to look forward to that because, you see, If you listen to the podcast, every one of the people that I interview, you could learn from. They're going to be your mentors. That's why you should never stop learning to self-develop, no matter how old you are. Because remember, the moment you stop learning and growing is the moment you start to die. How many people here do you know are combines? Right? People who just sit around in the corner rubbing their stomach. And I've seen them. They have stopped learning. So therefore, they have stopped growing. So I don't want you to all to stop growing. I want you to continue forward. I believe in all of you. I believe in your greatness. I believe that you can do anything and become everybody or anybody you want to become. All right? So I want you to know that I love you. I want you to continue to be strong and to be able to achieve everything that you want to achieve in life, because you all deserve it. And I believe all of you. Thank you.
Applause.